Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. Throughout my life, I have considered myself kind of an organizational guru. Organization tends to come naturally for me. I think it's just a part of my personality, but I've learned that it's not so simple for everyone. I think that when our physical space is chaotic, it can be a reflection of mental chaos that's going on. So we're going to talk about some of my top organizational tips, as well as why it's important and what does that have to do with mental health. So let's get into it. Having a clean and organized space does have some psychological benefits to our mental health and our overall sense of well-being. Some of those benefits include reducing stress and anxiety, improving focus and productivity. When our space is tidy and put together, it can create an environment where we're able to think clearer and make better decisions. The act of cleaning and organizing your space also provides a sense of achievement. When we set goals and we're able to work towards accomplishing those goals, it does help to improve our mood in the sense of we feel like we're actually accomplishing things, which the sense of not accomplishing things or having thoughts about things we should be doing that we're not doing can have the opposite effect, and depression and things like that tend to feed off of it. Having a lot of clutter and things around can negatively impact your sleep if those things are in your sleeping area. And then also it can improve your self-esteem because, again, I think your physical space is a reflection of your mental space, and this feeling of self-efficacy and being able to take care of yourself creates a sense of pride in your home, which then is a reflection of pride in yourself. So by having your space organized and well put together, it decreases the just minor annoyances we have on a day-to-day basis when we're not able to find things. If your space is super cluttered, like, you're going to be spending a lot more time looking for stuff, can't find things, maybe buying multiples of things because you can't find the other one, so just have to go buy another one, and then obviously that's impacting your finances. So it's a lot. It can have a lot of effects. So what we want to try to do is bring some organization to the chaos and actually be able to function well in our spaces, which then helps us function mentally. You see how all that works together, right? Yeah, so everything kind of works together like a web. So when I am preparing to declutter a space or to organize a space, the first thing that I do is remove all the things. I take whatever is in the space that I'm going to go through, all the things that need to be sorted, and I move them to a separate area. It helps to go zone by zone. Like, you don't want to try to declutter your entire house all at the same time, and maybe not even an entire room all at the same time. If I'm going to do a whole room, I'm going to break that down into zones or phases. I generally start with the areas where the stuff will go back into. Say a dresser, if it's a closet, if there are cabinets, I may start with the cabinets and then move on to other areas. The spaces that will be refilled are cleared out first, which provides room to put stuff back, but also gives you a sense of how much space you have for the things that are going to go back in there, because one of my philosophies is if I'm going to keep it, it must have a place to go. If I don't have a place to put it, then I'm not going to keep it. That will kind of limit some of the things that you're going to hold on to, because again, sometimes we hold on to stuff just to have stuff. We create this attachment to things that may not be healthy and may not be serving us in a positive way. As I'm going through things, I'm going to be categorizing those things. First of all, the things I'm going to keep. Then there are things that I will donate. I don't believe in a lot of waste. I think that a lot of things that we think are trash, somebody else can use. Things that you think are trash or not useful, if they're in pretty good condition, then consider donating those things. And then obviously trash, because some stuff is just too far gone and it's no longer useful, or things that we should have thrown away a long time ago. And so you got your different categories: things to keep, things to donate, things to throw away. And here's the rule: once I've made a decision, I'm not going to go back through and try to take stuff back out. If I have decided this item is going into the donate pile, like, I'm not going to go back and start digging through the donate pile again. Like, once it's there, and like one touch, that's it. The decision is made and we're not gonna go back on it. So once you have gone through your things and you have, as you're going through your key pile, I generally group like things together. That gives me a general idea of how those things can be put back in place in a way that makes sense. So if I don't know what I have, it's kind of hard to come up with a plan on how to reorganize it once I put it back. One of the other rules that I have about reorganization is that whatever system I put in place, it needs to fit with my lifestyle and how I'm using the space already. I think part of the problem why maybe sometimes we're not successful in organizing is because we're trying to come up and change our whole life. Like, we're trying to do things totally different. If I know that every day I come in, when I bring in the mail, that mail ends up on my kitchen table, then I need to create a system that either allows me to process that mail closer to the door or have some kind of way to catch that in some vessel or something like that on the table where I'm used to putting it. If I come up with a system and I say, okay, my mail is gonna be processed way back here in the back part of the house in this little room back here that I barely go into, like, it's never gonna make it. So think about how you're already using the stuff and the space, and then try to create a system around the lifestyle that you already have with those items. Obviously, there are products and things like that that you can buy that help with organization. I mean, there's thousands upon thousands of organizational tools and products that you can use. You can use things that you already have. If you have small boxes, like shoe boxes, or even smaller boxes like that, like, you can use those items that you already have. If you don't like the look of it, I mean, you can wrap it in some kind of like wrapping paper or something like that. You can get shipping paper and wrap them and make them look uniform. It doesn't have to cost a lot. You can take things that you already have and repurpose them in a way that helps you to organize stuff. You can also go places like Dollar Tree. They always have these little plastic containers, and again, if you don't like the look of them, you can paint them because, I mean, they're plastic, so get some plastic approved spray paint and paint them whatever color you want. And they're functional for, again, corralling things and being able to group things together in a way that makes sense. You want to think about the drawers that you have and maybe consider using some drawer dividers. You can buy these. You can also make them. If you have some cardboard boxes or something like that, you can cut those things up and create drawer dividers. If you have more skills, you can do it out of wood and things like that and build it. But obviously you can buy those things, and they have these little trays at the stores that you can buy to create spaces within spaces that helps you organize and see things easier, group things together. Something I like to do with really small items, like in the office, with things like paper clips and stuff like that, like Ziploc or Glad containers, you know, the little plastic ones with the blue top on them. They come in all different sizes, and some of them have multiple sections within that. So things like my batteries, office supplies, and stuff like that, that's what I use. Also, I'm a fan of clear. So like clear plastic containers that you can see through, because one of the problems with organization for some people is out of sight, out of mind. So it's like, if I can't see it, I'm not even going to think about the fact that it's there and use it. And then it just becomes something that's taking up space. Something else that's helpful is to actually label things. So if you have specific spaces for specific things, specific containers for specific things, if you label it in some way, then that makes it easier to, first of all, to find it, but you also know that this thing goes in this place. So when it's time to put stuff back, you can see where it goes. I think it's also important that we not only look at our physical space, but our digital spaces as well. Some of us have thousands upon thousands of emails, and a lot of that stuff is junk. Unsubscribe from some of that stuff. You know that store you signed up for 3 years ago that you haven't been back to, they still sending you emails. You know good and well you're not going back. So unsubscribe from the stuff that's not useful to you. Also, with your digital files, you can organize them in the same way that you would a physical file. Make sure you put like things together, put files inside of other files if you need to. And something else that I'm doing this year is I am switching from paper to digital. I bought a document scanner that I'll try to put the link in the description. I like it. It's portable. You don't have to plug it into the wall because it pulls the power from the computer that you're using, and you scan it and the files go onto the computer, and then you can shred the document once it's no longer needed. So I have been in the process of going through my papers and trying to convert paper documents into digital ones, and then shredding the papers and things like that. Think about your physical spaces and also your digital. Once you've gone through and decluttered a space and you got everything how you want it to be, it's important that you maintain it. The lifestyle needs to fit with the system. And once you create a system and you live with it for a little while, if you're paying attention, you'll be able to see what's working and what's not working. And so you can always modify the system, but you have to have a system. So you have to think about what's going to work for you. For some people, having all things closed off where you can't see it and it's put away, it works for them because it creates less visual clutter. And they don't really have a problem thinking about the stuff that they have. But for some of us, if I don't see it, I'm not gonna think about it. So we need things that are open. Obviously, you can put open, like clear, see-through things inside something like a cabinet or a closet or things like that. So you have to think about how your brain works and what's gonna work best for you. Whatever you come up with, the system needs to match with how you live already. And then once you declutter, it's kind of an ongoing thing. I think reassessing maybe once or twice a year is a good thing, kind of a good rule of thumb. We want to be able to reassess the system to see, is it working? Do I need to tweak it? And we need to be consistently thinking about, as we're reaching and grabbing stuff, like, is it bringing some kind of value to my life? If it's not, then we probably can get rid of it, and maybe somebody else can find more use for it than what we are finding in the current moment. So long story short, clutter and disorganization do not have to ruin your life. There are practical steps that you can take to get your spaces in order, and that will help to improve your mental wellness. I can't stress that enough. It's gonna help improve your mood, your productivity, your sleep, your sense of achievement, your self-esteem. Like, there really isn't anything bad that can come from having an organized and decluttered space. So think about the stuff that you have. Do you need it? Is it useful to you in your current place in life? Would this better serve someone else who can actually get value from it if you're not currently getting value from it? And once you go through, organize your spaces, come up with a system that fits with your lifestyle the way that it is now. So basically, if I change nothing about how I live, how does this space need to work for me? And then build your system around that. Use organizational tools to help you keep it together. So grouping things together and then corralling those things in containers, it doesn't have to cost a lot of money. And then don't try to do all the things all at once. Break it down zone by zone, and then make sure you're always reassessing to make sure that the system is working, and also to make sure that the spaces you have are not getting recluttered by adding more things that you're not going to use. So if you're going to start a decluttering process, I would love to hear from you. If you have some other tips and tricks, or if you have different ways of doing things that work better for you, go ahead and share those in the comments below. Like the video if you like the video, subscribe and hit the bell notification so you don't miss an episode. As always, fear nothing, assume nothing, and take nothing for granted. All right, y'all, go be great.